There's a few different factors that really drive what we might call dysfunction into teams. I'll tell you, one of the most critical factors is a lack of alignment and buy-in around the direction. So we see this all the time within teams where there is confusion and even some controversy around truly what are we doing and how are we going to get there. And so partly this is what drives organizational politics, is that we do not have a full understanding of our strategic direction. And furthermore, we don't have absolute buy-in against what that direction is and how it's going to be achieved. So think about this in a very practical sense. When it gets to budget time, we see teams fight over resources because it's limited. And as those resources are eventually divvied up, you'll still see some team members who disagree with it and will continue to fight after the fact because there is not strong enough alignment around, again, the direction, but also the how, the operational side of how that strategy will be carried out, which again produces a territorial mentality of I will withhold and protect my resources as well as information. And this leaks into not just the dynamics amongst a senior team, but it leaks into other corners of the organization where we know there is overlap amongst other individuals and other teams, but it stems from the top. That dysfunction starts with a lack of clarity and a lack of alignment around direction and the how it will be achieved. There's not a single one trait. And this is what's really fascinating about teams is that there's no silver bullet. Right? You can't do one single thing really, really well and have the greatest performing team that you've ever seen or been a part of in your career. Instead, there are other factors. However, we know that there are certain themes, there are certain factors that will certainly drive your performance as a group. And so one of the ones that I'll talk about is trust. And so understanding that others within the group kind of have your backs, but furthermore, that you know that they're going to deliver. They're going to deliver on their promises. They're going to follow through on things, and that they're competent. They have the capabilities. They have the skills to really fulfill their responsibilities, and that they're committed to the group as a whole. It's not just about each individual's contributions, or we talk about things like pet projects and such. Is that everyone is contributing to the whole, and it sounds like such a simple concept, one that you would expect exists within all teams, but the reality is different. Is that oftentimes we do see individuals on teams that are not operating in sync. They have those pet projects, or they're not fully bought in, etc. And so this all contributes to trust. When we have individuals who know what they're doing, they are very capable, they are skilled, they are experienced, and they are delivering. But furthermore, that they're there committed to the group. They're there for the right reasons. They're there for each other, that the intentions are well known, and that they are aligned to the group as a whole. The trust that's formed from those, the competence, the character that's in play there, that's really an extreme differentiator between teams that perform well and teams that are truly great and meeting or maxing out on their full potential. One of the really fascinating things about a top of house leader, one of their primary responsibilities in regard to change is pace. And so setting that pace, and here's a big mistake that a lot of leaders make in regard to pace. They set the pace, really the speed at which they want to move, and not at the pace at which the organization is capable of moving. Those are two very different things. Now, don't get me wrong. The job of a senior leader, especially a top of house leader, is to often be out front, all right, to set that pace, to set the tone around change. But realistically, too often we see that leaders are too far out front, or they're moving too fast. And as they glance behind them, they see a team that's struggling to keep up. There's too much of a gap. So it's okay to be out front, at least somewhat. That's where we need you. That's where we want you to be. But if the team behind you is falling behind, then likely what you're seeing is a pace that's operating too quickly and unrealistically. And so this is where, again, that top of house leader function has to be really in tune with the capabilities of the organization as a whole in relation to how quickly it can maneuver and navigate through change, often unexpected change, how quickly it can pursue new opportunities, and how able their workforce and their systems that really underpin or provide the foundation for the way the organization operates, how capable those things are in relation to how quickly it can move. So in regard to pace, I'm working with a client currently, a top of house leader, who's very opportunistic, who's very keen to grow the organization and move the organization into some very new territory. However, they're getting very frustrated because the organization, the leadership team, the workforce, the systems, etc., are all showing indications that they're unable to move at the pace at which this top of house leader wants to move the organization. So you hear the discrepancy between the pace at which the top of house leader wants to move versus the capabilities of the organization. And again, the kind of burden that's placed upon that leader at the top of house, how much energy it takes to bring others along, but also the opportunities that are created in terms of potentially investing in people, investing in systems, and really showing strong change leadership skills to really fully leverage the opportunity that may be in front of that organization.